Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again to do another One Piece chapter review, chapter 1073. Miss Buckingham Stussy and all that stuff, and which, let's see, this chapter is a follow-up from the last chapter where, it was revealed that the Stussy was actually a clone of Miss Buckingham and all that stuff, or let's see, I think Weaver's mom and all that stuff, they were one and the same person, and that had a connection to Mads and all that stuff, and she has double-crossed Kaku and Lucy. Let's see, why so? We'll find out in this chapter. And for once, I'm doing the chapter on the day it's officially released, so we'll see how that goes. But before that, Jammer 66 on Emotionless Excursion, Volume 29. Winner of the Mobile Peace Prize for GP Flowers that bloom out of gunpowder, in which we see Vegapunk winning some getting Photoshop from I believe, Den Mushy, Snail, and all that stuff. I think giving a bit of a speech as we see tanks firing flowers into guys who are testing them out, being shocked by this. Let's see, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be the mad scientists or not, but or just general warriors, but you can see let's see, Queen, Caesar, and Judge being all shocked and mad at, I think not only the gunpowder becoming flowers, but I think also Vegapunk getting the rewards. So, yeah. So we can probably see the jealousy towards Vegapunk being universal amongst the Mads group. It's probably honestly the only thing that those three other members have in common besides hating each other. Is that they probably hate Vegapunk more, but who knows? But anyway, the chapter follows up where Ritzy Rob Lucci's just shocked that Kaku's been taken out by Stussy and can't wrap her hands with that. Attempts to attack her, but she manages to avoid this with a paper art after image and all that stuff. With her just mocking him about, so if you don't understand something, you try to kill it and all that stuff. As she pops out a bit of Ritzy lipstick, teasing her about being such a wildcat, and I say that's mostly because of the whole flirty heart thing in the thing. And she touches him with it, and Rob Lucci realizes that it's a sea stone prison, as she then bites him, as I believe Hatiro, Rob Lucci's pigeon, is shocked by what happened to Rob Lucci, as he curses her, though she comments she's not stupid enough to fight against someone as powerful as him and Kaku, and he is now knocked out as a result. But it tells her that in a teasing manner, you will forgive her and all that stuff. As, let's see, this shocked both Brock and Zoe, wondering why on earth CP0 agents are fighting each other, and all that stuff. As Stussy reveals that she is actually Vegapunk's, other ally on the island, as she tells them that the two are asleep. As we see, hold on, let me just get the name of this Vegapunk. Vegapunk. This one is Pythagoras and all that stuff. As he's happy about the news and all that stuff, and believing that Stussy has solved their problem, as he tries to wake up York and all that stuff. As Usopp's confused about this, let's see, and so is Nami and all that stuff, where let's see, a Shaka comments how Lucci can even see that coming and all that stuff. It's revealed that Stussy's been their agent for 2 decades now, and all that stuff, which shocks the other Straw Hats about how they have a spy in the top intelligence network agency. But as he comments, it's not by design, but that's how it ended up. I think in some translations, they did wonder whether or not Stussy would still be loyal and all that stuff, but yeah. So we finally got the confirmation that, right off the bat, we are confirmed that Stussy is in fact the secret ally, being, the secret ally of Vegapunk, and you know what? I'm for it and all that stuff. Arguably, it's just the one thing I wasn't spoiled on. With the One Piece spoilers that pop up on Twitter and all that stuff. So, yeah, this sort of surprised me, but yeah. Now, how do I feel about it? You know what? I think it makes the most logical sense. I mean, there's some wild theories that Soul Jaguar D would be D Sagwa would be the secret ally that's hiding actually here in Egghead, but honestly, it's clear that Oda's saving that for Elbaf, so yeah, that makes sense. Let's see, so there really isn't anyone else that they can have on the island unless like an entirely unknown character, and she's arguably the only one of the characters are on the island that we have somewhat established that arguably could be the turn and twist and all that stuff. And not to mention the fact that we did see in Whole Cake Island about how she was pretending to be an underworld leader, or might actually be, but in fact is a CP0 agent, and end up just double-crossing another underworld king and all that stuff to try and get the Tomate box and all that stuff. So yeah. Now, why on earth she tried to get the Straw Hats in trouble? Well, at the time, let's see, she probably didn't see the Straw Hats as an ally, so she didn't mind giving the information about the box to them and all that stuff. So yeah, despite Morgan's protests, so that makes sense. But yeah, but thinking of Whole Cake, it does sort of makes it a very interesting conversation between Big Mom and Stussy when on the table and that stuff, given the fact they seem to have some history. But yeah. I know some people were probably disappointed, but you know what? Arguably makes most sense. And yeah, we're just now starting to learn a lot more of this character. And no doubt after this betrayal, many people are calling for Stussy to be a Straw Hat. However, not she will be the Straw Hat, or someone else will be a Straw Hat, or no one will be a Straw Hat. Remains to be unseen. But yeah. So it remains to be clear. But yeah, I do like how she uses some after image techniques to do that. And I like how she teases Rob Lucci just trying to destroy something once he doesn't understand what's going on. And while perhaps a bit stereotypical with the lipstick being Steenstone Prison, my guess is it's actually just Steenstone covered inside to make it look like lipstick, but it's actually a physical sea stone. But I mean, as far as I can tell, sea stone can only be in a more physical form and all that stuff. But yeah, she takes him out. Now, some people are like, oh, look at how weak Rob Lucci has been in this arc, given the fact that he lost to Luffy and not really landing a single hit, and now being taken out by Stussy, and the only thing he can really say is that he took out one of the Vegapunks. Well, Atlas, or that nearly killed her, but yeah. But to be fair, Luffy is now Yonko, is Yonko pirate level, and unless you're probably Admiral level, let's see, Yen or Admiral of Yonko level, you're probably going to have a hard time against him at this point. So there's very few people that will give Luffy a hard time. So that, and Stussy here, of course, says that she's not foolish enough to take on Rob Lucci. So yeah, she was being smart and just first weakening him before taking him on and all that stuff. So yeah, so she does defeat him, but it's because she has an idea of who he is, and also ambushes him. Granted, yes, you could argue that means she's probably a better assassin than Rob Lucci, but who knows? But at the very least, it's clear that in a one-on-one fight between her or even Kaku, either of the ones, she's likely going to lose, and was the weakest member. But yeah, I do like how the Straw Hats, let's see, were first confused and all that and all that stuff, and were a bit shocked by how, in fact, Vegapunk had a spy. But think about it. Makes sense that he would have a spy in the network, and that way he will learn whenever the world government is thinking of possibly assassinating him like they are, or let's see, or learning just how much the world government expressed concern about him, and maybe learn a bit of their secrets that he could use against them in the future. So yeah, but the fact that he doesn't fully trust them, so never fully trusted them, makes a lot of sense, and it could give him some like leeway and all that stuff. So yeah, even if it wasn't the original plan to do so with Stussy, but yeah. So I do like this thing, but yeah. Anyway, I do kind of also find it funny how York is filled up and all that stuff. It's like she's eating now, and it's like, is that really this is really the appropriate time for that? But then again, I guess Vegapunk wants all that energy for the rest of them to escape before. But hopefully, York will be able to wake up soon. But yeah. Though, despite all that, Stussy reveals that despite the fact that she's taken out Rob Lucci, they have the same authority level, so she can't really override the previous orders he gave to Sussum, so they're still going to cause a rampage until one of the Vegapunks shows up to tell them to stop and all that stuff. So yeah. as we see Snake firing one of the Pathista's laser beams, as we see Edison and Lilith running towards and all that stuff. Let's see, was all telling Brock that needs to stop these kid-like Pathistas before they take out the entire building that has their crew inside. With Brock certainly agreeing, but there's a bit to ask sort of they seem familiar, which close-ups of Bartholomew Cooler or S-Bear and S-Shark. Let's see. I'm thinking that, yeah, he's right, and particularly this guy in particular, which I wonder if he's referring to either Jimbei or Kuma, but it might also be Hawkeye. But yeah, you never, I don't know, it's not really making it clear. But yeah, as we know, Sora has like a very, particularly with, Kuma, Jimbei, and Hawkeye has, well, a history with all three of them in some level or another, as they each one have had a sort of impact on his life. Well, granted, Jimbei probably the least, but it's a crew, but it's a fellow Nakama in his crew, so, yeah. It is interesting how most of the Straw Hats only got a glimpse of Boa Hancock, but it's honestly the S-Snake is the one that they've probably interacted with more, which one day I am hoping that when they do actually meet Boa Hancock, they'll get all kinds of reactions to her, particularly how she would probably treat them with contempt, but seem to really like Luffy. But yeah, I am curious to see that reaction, but yeah. But anyway, let's see. You've got Lilith commenting about how they've totally ruined the lab and all that stuff. Let's see. No, it does make a comment about how it's easier to probably escape now. Anyway, when she's outside, she starts trying to call a Sephiroth, but the S-Snark just targets her and is about to strike her before she can give an order. And this is where you have Zoro drawing his blades and clashing with the S-Hawk and all that stuff. And you can see sort of S-Hawk sweating a bit. So commenting that, well, he does get a better look at S-Hawk, which I think might be what I actually was commenting on earlier, despite my rambles. So, yeah. And he comments that S-Hawk is perhaps a bit more human than the actual Hawkeye. So he questions who he is, but Lilith, comments about how that scene gave her a scare, but Edison's flying towards the situation, saying he'll handle this, as he ends up shouting the orders to set up the fighting now, but Shark is a bit too late, as Shark has fired his Pathfista beam and all that stuff. And an explosion happens with Lilith just shouting Edison's name, and she's wondering if he got hit. But we see Sanji speeding up and grabbing Edison, showing that he survived. With Sanji asking her, "If you mean this guy?" and him just commenting how that was close. With Lilith crying Edison's name, and that she got him safe and all that stuff. So yeah. I do like how Zoro and Brock are just immediately like, okay, we gotta stop the Sephiroths, and just commenting about how familiar are, because they're the only ones of the crew that do not know anything about the Seraphim at this point, since they've been stuck on the boat all day while the rest of the Straw Hats have been learning all the information from Vegapunk. So they're going to need a bit of info dump. And I'm really curious to see how much information how briefly they'll be told off screen and all that stuff. But yeah, I'll be very curious to see their reactions at the very least. But that's probably what we're going to get. We're not going to get probably a full-on summary again, because, well, that already happened. But yeah. But I do like how, despite the fact that they're trying to give out orders, they are not. The Sephiroths are just too quick for them, and so they need to be protected and all that stuff. And which gives us a chance to see Zoro versus S-Hawk. Now, granted, this is just a quick tease battle, so it's like blocking at the moment, so it's not a full-on fight, and that's clearly going to be something that's probably going to happen down the line in the future. Arguably, the final battle arc, if you will, or the final war arc, if you will, for One Piece, what happens. Granted, you could argue the final war has already started, or the build-up to it has at least started, so, yeah. But yeah. But it is interesting how those comments that S-Hawk is a little bit more human than the actual Hawkeye because he's showing a bit more emotions. And that's clear from the sweat and all that stuff. It's clear that Air-Shock is not yet on the level as the actual Hawkeye, as he's arguably struggling with a sword thing, and I doubt, and given Sora's 2-year history with training with Hawkeye, he probably realizes that, let's see, this guy, while he is strong like the Hawkeye, he's not on like Hawkeye's level yet, but no doubt, when he probably reaches adult stage, you probably do just as strong, if not stronger, just because of the other quirks that he has of being like a Sephiroth. Let's see, such as the Lunarian DNA and arguably possibly some form of devil fruit, but we have to wait and see about that. So yeah, it's only like a brief clash there. It's all we really needed at the time, but yeah. But I do like and also a bit of a win for Sanji with his speed, arguably fast enough to try to grab Ethan away from dodging a laser. Which does make me wonder if that eventually Sanji is going to be super fast enough that he could probably fight someone on speed par to Admiral Kizaru, who is arguably the fastest person alive since he's got the light devil fruit. So yeah, I mean, many people do think that he'll probably be Sanji's final opponent, at least in terms of arguably with the Marines, since, well, you know, Admiral, I think, opening 17 teased that. So, but we'll have to wait and see on that bit. But anyway, I do. It's interesting how Lilith we've seen a bit more emotions from Lilith, particularly the fact that she can get scared despite her battle-ready attitude. And interesting that outside of Shaka, she seems to actually care for the other fellow Vegapunk satellites, if you will, particularly Edison, probably closer to him, because he's probably more willing to go with her ideas of testing fights and all that stuff compared to Shaka. So yeah, so it's just really more of the good / logical one that she has mostly a beef with because he's the one that often clashes with her personality. So yeah, I do like that. So yeah, and I do. Let's see. So there's interesting that if you're not quick enough with giving the orders to the Path East, the Sephiroth, they will still try to attack you, even if you're on the hierarchy. So, yeah. Let's see. Anyway, the Sephiroth have now all stopped and all that stuff, and they're all standing together. Interesting. Let's see, we get a sort of size thing. Zoro's just about slightly taller than the let's see, Shark. Let's see, Snake is small, and, well, Shark and, of course, Buffum Kuna is like the same size as their respective things, so who knows how much bigger they're going to get. Let's see, Zoro's just wondering what these are and asks for an explanation. No surprise there. Let's see, as Stussy reveals that she's placed Sea Stone prisons on both Lucy and Kaku, as she's talking to Shaka and all that stuff, as he thanks her. Let's see, as he tells them they're going to escape the island and they should come with her, which she understands. And Usopp's just going like, oh, you're adding more people to our ship? That's just becoming a bit of a recurring joke here. Anyway, Luffy is then asking Bonnie where'd she go and all that stuff, saying where Old Man asking where he is, saying that we can't leave, the ship without him. As the narration said, but an incident has occurred. Dr. Vegapunk Stella was nowhere to be found. Going on then. Now it's interesting. Now it's like I said, Zoro is pretty much confirming that asking for questions. So yeah, and interesting. The thing is that Stussy, and this is probably something I said earlier about Stussy coming aboard. This has led to more theorizing that she's going to be a permanent. She might become the next Straw Hat and the crew member. I can definitely see people liking her. Granted, despite the fact that she's got this quite an interesting backstory as a clone and all that stuff, I don't think she's going to join the crew. Well, she's an interesting character. I see her being more of like Vegapunk's bodyguard throughout the rest of the journey and all that stuff. Now, granted, she could end up having a few interactions with the crew, with at least as they travel to the next arc, if she manages to escape the island and all that stuff with them. But I don't think she's going to be the Straw Hat. Granted, I'm falling more on the line of Mr. Moji's analysis that Bonnie might be more suited to that, but who knows? Because at the moment, Luffy is asking where she is, where she and the original Stella Vegapunk are at, as the narration implies that he's disappeared somewhere. Now, I don't know if that means, oh, he's been taken out, he's been teleported somewhere else, or he's disappeared, but who knows? But clearly, Oda's building some tension to see what's happened. And granted, we still have to yet to find out what actually happened between Bonnie and him with like Kuma's memories, so yeah. But this is where we cut to off Egghead Island for a bit, and then head to Sphinx in the New World, which is, as we all recall, is Whitebeard's hometown and all that stuff. Where kids agree talking to Marco about how they were scared about what's happening. Though one said no, it wasn't, but they're all informing him about how the residents of the town, particularly young children, and maybe some of the adults, are informing him about how the Navy come here to push this town, pushing them around, demanding all kinds of things. With Marco apologizing about how he wasn't there, let's see, and how they must have been scared, it must have been frightening for them. But they don't blame him and just say that those Marine dudes are just plain old jerks, as they were going to apparently they raided the island to try and confiscate Whitebeard's wealth or treasure, if you will, like they were a bunch of pirates. As we see a flashback of a bunch of nasty-looking Marines, threatening them, saying if everyone behaves, to not get hurt. And it turns out to be a sort of this Marine ends up looking like Captain Nezero from let's see, Captain let's see, Nezero and all that stuff. And hold on, let me see if I can actually Marines. I'm just gonna type a search from. I'm just about. Oops. We should learn to put One Piece on these whenever I type in Marines, because, well, too many real-life organizations of the Marines, so, yeah. I'm just scrolling down to their members, and from what I can tell, let's see, captains. From what I can tell, Nemazui is still a Marine, and no, it's not him, but many people have made some comparisons to the guy, and wondering that if this guy is arguably related and all that stuff. So, yeah, so, yeah, so, yeah, they are like, let's see, as this Nazmuri lookalike guy or possibly related guy is threatening the island that happened to this island, since they're not a part of the world government. Let's see, there's no laws to protect them, so they can do whatever they like here, as he comments that they don't know that Whitebeard left a sort of let's see. Actually, this Marine guy, I think, is called Rattel and all that stuff. So, yeah. So, yeah, this guy's called Rattel. Sorry, my mistake. I just wanted to sort of clear that up. But, yeah. So, he's demanding the treasure, and let's see. If they don't tell him, they will execute them. So, yeah, showing how much of a scumbag. He might even be a worse scumbag than Nezumi, if you will. And is about to shoot a kid, threatening them at that to force them to remember. Let's see. With one of the kids trying to tell him not to point the gun at his brother, and tries to tell him that no such thing here is. And as the elderly goes like, so you're not treating us like human beings just because, we pay, and just calls them a bunch of monsters. But this angers the Marine and all that stuff, and comments that Marco isn't around to protect them, so he has, his men grab her as he's prepared to shoot her and all that stuff, with kids pleading for their grandma and all that stuff, with the other residents pleading that she's an old woman, but he ends up getting attacked by none other than Edward Weevil, as he ends up saying that don't you dare attack his father's home and all that stuff, telling him to leave it alone, shocking the Marines there. Let's see, going like shocked that the Weaver's here, and they're all running away, cowering like he's the actual Whitebeard, if you will. But they're confused since they thought other battleships were sent to deal with the Marines, and they probably realized that to deal with the warlords. But they believe that if they're all down, that means that he probably took out that squad and probably took the rest of their squad out as they ending up retreating back to ship for some reinforcements. They're reporting that the warlords here and requesting backup. So yeah, it's okay. I was not. Let's see, if it wasn't for spoilers, I wouldn't be surprised at the fact that we were going back to Whitebeard's hometown of Sphinx. Now, granted, I did not first realize that. Let's see, the spoilers. Well, granted, I probably learned a bit more details on spoilers, but I didn't realize that Weaver. When I first heard it, I thought Weaver has come to fight Marco for the treasure and all that stuff. But no, instead, he's actually here to defend Whitebeard's town. Now, given the fact that most people probably at this point think that he's probably a clone instead of the actual son of Whitebeard, but since he thinks he's the son of Whitebeard, let's see. It is interesting, despite his behavior towards Whitebeard's allies and crew members, about them being his sons. But then again, he's perhaps being a bit angry that, oh, how dare you call your father when he is my father, kind of thing. So there might be some sort of jealousy there, but clearly that since he does actually, and as we've seen earlier, that he does, from like his first introduction, he does seem to care for his father, if you will. Does actually want to avenge him, and all that. When he wanted to avenge him, we were against Blackbeard, but his mother said no. Focus on gaining his treasure inheritance. But it's clear that despite that, when he learned that this is probably what his father's hometown, he was willing to protect it. So yeah, this shows the fact that a bit more morally grey character. He's clearly destructive and all that stuff. I wouldn't call him necessarily a hero, but clearly he does have some decent qualities when it comes to for the sake of like his let's see, who he believes to be his father and all that stuff, as he defended the hometown and all that stuff. But yeah, speaking of which, it's interesting to just see just how scummy the Marines actually are. And we haven't seen this kind of scumminess since probably East Blue. I mean, we know about corrupt Marines without absolute justice, but we don't. It's been a while since I've seen Marines exploiting villages and towns that can't protect themselves from pirates and all that stuff, taking their money since Nemozu, and I think it's probably fitting that Rattle here does look like him. So yeah, but this is really showing you just how scummy the Marines are, and more builds on more on what Greenbull said about how countries not affiliated with the government aren't considered like under the laws of protection and human rights and all that stuff. So they don't care if they damage, ransack, and harm citizens from it. So yeah, it just goes to show you just how corrupt the organization are. In some ways, it's like Kid says, sometimes the people at the top of the world are worse than the pirates. I mean, most pirates are just least honest in that they just they ransack because they're not exactly the nicest guys, but the Marines try to be all self-righteous. So yeah. But it does confirm that we've also, like the rest of the warlords, survived the initial attempt to try and capture them. And let's see. Well, that's no granted. While let's see. Rattle's a captain. It does go to show just how powerful this guy is, as he's easily able to wipe out a bunch of Marines. Let's see with ease. So yeah. And he scares them so much that they require backup. But yeah, the kids end up talking about how if it wasn't for Weevil showing up, this village would have been done for. But yeah. But Marco's just city, so okay, so he was a hero after all. But is glad that everyone is safe just because of him. But let's see, if you will, Rocks Pirates, or pirates with Buckingham Stussy, the original one, shows up and telling her that's not over. Then goes to inform Marco, who do you think showed up afterwards? As we get introduction, the sort of introduction thing of former Rocks Pirates, self-styled scientist, Mads freeloader, Miss Buckingham, or Buckingham Stussy, as she ends up telling them that apparently Admiral Ryoko showed up and all their efforts were in vain as he took her son away. Weaver away. And she demands that he gets her son back, as well as hand over Whitebeard, its inheritance and all that stuff. As we get a little brief flashback of her crying out to Weaver, and he's going like, "Mama!" from the boat. Well, granted, I don't think we actually... Maybe we see a big silhouette of him and all that stuff, but yeah, he's been captured. And let's see, as she starts to cry about how how her son's been sent to prison to protect her own father's village and all that stuff, as she praises her son and going on about how he's Whitebeard's kid. Marco talks about how he's really grateful for him saving the village. He can at least say that much, but his tone implies that he doesn't necessarily believe that he is Whitebeard's son. And Stussy picks up on this, saying about how, so you don't believe that he's, Whitebeard's kid and all that stuff, and ends up telling him that, let's see, there's one person who can prove it to him, and that's Dr. Vegapunk. So, yeah. So, for my comments on this, it's interesting that Marco comes to sort of same conclusion to me that, okay, there is actually something decent about Weaver at the very least. At least regards to protecting Whitebeard, but like us, still remains a bit skeptical that he's the actual biological son. And well, granted, he's not, but he's not given the idea that he could be a clone of Whitebeard. So let's see. I'm not sure how he would react to that. So but it's interesting that he ends up being captured by Admiral Ryoko, let's see, or Green Bull, if you will. And that'll be interesting because, well, this is given a bit of a feat to, like, the Admiral. I mean, granted, Admiral Ryoko has sort of become a bit of a butt of jokes for quite a lot of One Piece fans when his comments about how he wouldn't have come to Wano if Kaido was there, or how he seemed to cower out once Shanks released his burst of hockey and all that stuff. So, so people didn't think like he would be that much of a threat, but while he might not be brave enough to fight the more experienced Yonko, clearly he's still a threat to be had as he took down a warlord and all that stuff. And while yes, we have not that many feats of Weaver, at least in terms shown in the series, but remember, this is a guy that took down 16 captains allied to Whitebeard and all that stuff. And while yes, they're not they're not on, it was off screen and all that stuff, but yeah, these are powerful pirates. They've probably got at least a couple of 100 million bounties on them and all that stuff. Not to mention they're allied to Whitebeard. They may not be on the same level as like his commanders, but they are still powerful pirates. So and not to mention he did survive the Marines' initial onslaught against him. When the warlords disbanded, and he took out the Marines here. Now, granted, these Marines probably weren't as powerful as the ones sent to get him. So, So there is enough feats to show that Weaver is powerful, and not to mention he's talked about being as strong as a young Whitebeard, so before he entered his prime. So, arguably and I wouldn't be surprised if he does have a bounty on or over $1 billion like the rest of the warlords post disbandment. So, So he is at least powerful. arguably maybe powerful than some of the Yonko commanders, and not to mention not the fact that Ryoku did take out 2 Yonko commanders. Granted, they're probably weakened, but still. So yeah, he took out Weavile off screen. Granted, I would have really liked to see a bit of that fight, but I guess Oda's saving that more towards down the line. But yeah, it is interesting the fact that they're now finally sending an admiral to deal with the warlords. I guess they probably realized their mistake. You know what? We probably shouldn't have sent just vice admirals alone to deal with the warlords. Granted, they did take them to Sephirim with Boa Hancock, but they didn't just realize that Blackbeard would show up. So yeah, but clearly, it's like, okay, we gotta seriously take down. Okay, next time when we're going with warlords, we've learned our mistakes. Send the admirals to deal with them pronto. Which, to be fair, that they did do that once with Don Flamenco with Fujitora, but yeah. So there's that, but yeah. But it's also interesting we get a bit more details on Stussy Bisbucking, or Buckingham Stussy, if you will, from her intro thing. Is the fact that while being a former former Rocks member of Pirates, she's also described herself as a self-styled scientist and described as a freeloader from MADS and all that stuff. So while she might have been one of the 5 members of that group when they formed initially, that she may not be necessarily an actual full-on scientist like the rest of the group, and maybe just took some part in the organization's works, but probably contributed the less and probably just exploited the others' resources for her own ends, such as probably having a clone of herself, or creating a sort of son from Whitebeard thing. But yeah, but it's interesting that she wants Marco to go save Mitzi Weavile, and also confirms that apparently Vegapunk can actually confirm his relation and all that stuff. Now, interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if Vegapunk can confirm what Weavile is, but you'll probably say that he's probably a clone or something. But we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like Marco might be Mitzi, despite his plans to permanently retire after Wano. Seems like he still has some more things to do. At least if he feels pressured to listen to Stussy and go rescue Revile, or at the very least find out what Revile actually is. But yeah. Now, how Marco would respond if Revile's a clone or a son, who knows? He might try to get him to stop listening to his mother all the time, and try to say what Whitebeard as a person is, and probably try to explain that Whitebeard doesn't really have any treasure to give him as inheritance, which I'm curious to see if Marco will tell Stussy that that's the case. But yeah. Anyway, we have the final panel here, final page here, where we cut to a marine fleet to head to Egghead and all that stuff. But we also have a world government ship there, as Kizaru has been given something to food, possibly biscuits to eat with the tea and all that stuff, and is to ask the marine if it's been tested for poison and all that stuff, in which she confirms, telling her to go take it to his guest and all that stuff. And when he arrives to go to the guest, he asks him a question if he's ever met Vegapunk before, and the person says he has, as it reveals to be one of the 5 elders, saying how he talks about how it was a long time ago and all that stuff once, but he has to say that given the turn of events that's going on right now, he does find it regrettable that they now have to wipe out Vegapunk, as we finally get an introduction with the One Piece Classic introductions, revealing that this 5 Elder, one of the highest authorities in the world, we finally got a name for him, and it's Saint Jagaracia Saturn, and it's the one with the scar across his eyes and with the sort of curly hair with the beard. And apparently it's the one in real life that looks like how should you say I think what many people said based off of Karl Marx and celebrity Jerry Garcia, some sort of American musician that maybe Aldo probably searched and probably might be a fan of, but yeah, end this chapter. So yeah. So let's see. Interesting. Given the fact that the Straw Hats earlier with this final panel, given the fact that the Vegapunks and the Straw Hats have pacified the Sephirim once they got Edison there to give the command, it looks like the threat is gone. But given the fact that Kizaru is coming up, let's see, they're about to face a whole new threat, and to make sure the stakes are raised higher, and to make sure that the Vegapunks do not have the advantage with the Sephirim, it's clear that the world government, taking the situation very seriously, have decided to send one of the 5 elders to give those Sephirim's command. As we do know from the hierarchy, they outrank the Vegapunks. So let's see, their commands will be useless once he's there in the picture to give the orders and all that stuff. So yeah. So yeah, it is interesting that we finally got a name of one of the 5-star elders, and Jay Garcia, which apparently is based on a musician, but yeah, the one that looks like Karl Marx, if you will, but yeah, but is actually appears to be his surname is Saturn, the planet, which for those who probably don't know, but yeah. The name, let's see, after all the 5 elders, let's see, in Japanese translation and terms, can even mean star or planet, depending on how you use the Japanese kanjis, I think. But interesting, also the fact that Saturn is actually, besides the name of the planet, is also the name of a Roman god, let's see, the god of time, in which Saturn is also named after, is the Roman equivalent of the Greek Titan god of time, Kronos, the one who ate his kids. Let's see, sliced his father up and then got sliced by Zeus up when he the god rebellion against the Titans, if you will. So yeah, which I mostly read in the Percy Jackson books, so I'll go read those books. So yeah. Anyway, it is interesting to see Kizaru give. Let's see, interesting how the Marines giving testing for poison and all that stuff. So yeah, it's clearly how they really prioritize the safety of the elders and probably any Celestial, really, by making sure that all the food is checked so they're not poisoned while they're going out and all that stuff. So yeah. And it is interesting to see a bit of respect that Kizaru gives them by being polite and all that stuff, which I think does show that he is actually loyal to the world government and clearly to an extent the world nobles, as he did go out to deal with Luffy when he assaulted one. But yeah, I mean, Kizaru has always been a bit of a lazy justice, but I think arguably he probably falls more down to the absolute justice Marines, or at least the system as it is, instead of more of the Morala one. But yeah. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see him interact. But yeah, it is interesting. We end up learning from Saturn here that at least the 5-star elders, or at least him in particular, have only met Vegapunk once. So it seems that they didn't have too much of a tight grip on him and let him do what they want until they realized, okay, he probably knows too much. But it's clear that they seem to have a sort of sense of respect for Vegapunk, as he's a brilliant scientist and did a lot of work for them and all that stuff. So yeah, not to mention his contributes to the world government and Marines with his Paphistas, the Sephirim, and other technologies that they do realize that, okay, it's such a shame to get rid of such a powerful asset, but they can't risk that information getting out, that news. But yeah, I guess it kind of shows that the elders are with Professor Clover, they clearly had some respect for him, but they sort of regretted their choice. But of course, their secrets, they're more of a priority here. But it does feel kind of surreal that we are in the final saga now, given the fact that you have one of the 5 elders not only named, but also out in the open and coming out to the actual battlefield themselves. And arguably, this will be the Straw Hat's probably first time interacting with Elders. I'm curious to see how he might interact with the Straw Hats. I mean, he particularly dislikes Luffy for the interferences, and perhaps Luffy will finally get, let's see, to voice his complaints at some of the top brass and the Marines with some of the stuff they've done, and even possibly trying to order his death recently. But yeah. But I wonder if Luffy will try to punch this guy. But yeah. Now, we still have no idea if the Five Elders actually have any combat experience. The scars implied so, but we have no idea how actually strong they are. So, yeah, whether or not he's just giving orders to the Sephirim remains to be seen. But yeah. But it does still feel through that, names. And it leads to that the other planets in our galaxy are probably going to be named after, going to be the surnames, at least for the other Elders, the 5-star Elders, though I think having Phanitas, the Aphrodite equivalent, which for one of the Elders is going to be a bit weird, to say the least, since, female goddess. That, who knows, there might be other names that they might give that to Elders, but we'll have to wait and see. So, yeah. Overall, I'd say this chapter is at least a 9 to maybe a near 10 or something. I mean, granted, it really depends on how you feel about the Stussy revelation and all that stuff. So, yeah, you might be disappointed in that. So, yeah, if you wanted the spy Vegapunk ally to be something else, or you wanted it to be something like a part of the Blackbeard Pirates crew or something. But yeah, I think some are probably disappointed there's not going to be a Stussy versus Bonnie fight, perhaps. But yeah, but I do like the revelation that she was Vegapunk's spy. Let's see, and how she cleverly took out Rob Lucci and Kaku. Let's see, I like the brief clash between Zoro and the S-Hawks and all that stuff. So I like that. I like the fact that we learned that where Weavile does have some decency in him when he protected Whitebeard's hometown. He got captured learning that he got captured by Ryuko, which does make me wonder if he's going to be sent to Imperial Down, where Doflamingo is and they escape together, or there's going to be another prison raid thing, or Marco comes to save him and all that stuff. But yeah, but you have Marco and Stussy interacting, and her backing him with saying how Vegapunk will be able to tell, and we got more details about her role in Mads, and the fact that we got, like, of course, one of the 5-star Elders making a move, arguably for the climax of the Egghead arc. But I still do like how Oda's just not just staying on just one island and is just cutting to other islands for other bits of information to probably build up more towards the other arcs, and I think that honestly is probably works well for One Piece, because normally that's in the beginning and the end of an arc, but here it's just pretty midway and all that stuff. So yeah, I just like how Oda's just got all these twists and turns for this final saga. So yeah, overall 9 to 10 out of 10. Very good arc. For those who had listened in even only briefly or managed to listen in to the end, I hope you liked what I had to say. I look forward to the next One Piece chapter, which unfortunately won't be until 2 weeks because One Piece is on a break next week. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed what I saw. I am Blue Star Saber, signing off. Thank you for joining me on the stream and review, and goodbye, and have a lovely evening. Let's see. Good night.